All right, welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I am back, and it is time for another Pro Starcraft 2 series. I say series because we have ourselves a best of 3 between two of my favorite Starcraft 2 players. As we have in the bottom right-hand side of the map, Trap, one of the top Korean Protosses. I think he's #1 in my heart. I'm going to say it. Classic retired, so Trap's really one of my favorite Protoss players. His opponent in the top left is DongRaeGu. DongRaeGu the Zerg is an older StarCraft 2 player. He had his peak in the very early days of StarCraft 2, or pretty close to the early days of StarCraft 2. However, he's recently been back, playing hard on the ladder. He made it into GSL. Spoilers alert, for those of you who haven't watched that yet, where he unfortunately got knocked out. I didn't get to catch all the games, but that's why I'm partially casting this series. I want to see how well DongRaeGu's playing. I know we've had him in a few of our tournaments, Africa World, as he is one of my favorite Zerg players, and he plays in those online cups, so we have the pleasure of inviting him to play in our tournaments. And fun fact, everyone, DongRaeGu actually is going to be playing in one of our upcoming tournaments this weekend. It might have already happened by the time this video goes up, but keep an eye out for that. And yeah, we see this drone setting to work on this probe of Trap. So far, DongRaeGu has had to take the uncomfortable third base since Trap's probe was very early. I'm pretty sure that was just a probe after Pylon to block the hatchery, force DRG to take the other expo. Just being a little bit of a pain, trying to throw a lesser Zerg player off. And when I say lesser, I mean I'd say compared to Trap. Trap is the favorite in this best of 3, there's no doubt about it. He has good PvZ, he's got really good PvT as well. And that helps when you're playing a PvZ. So we take a look at the builds, pulling up that production tab. I mean, you don't really need to look at the production tab too much in an early match, as long as there's no early pool. That's about it. I guess there could be a cannon rush and things like that. But from Trap and DongRaeGu, I don't expect anything too shenanigan-y. Not that that's a word, but you know, close enough. Anyway. So, we have got an Adept on the way out for Trap. DongRaeGu just droning up, getting up his speed, probably going to take his natural base pretty soon, as that's what you do when you're a Zerg. It's pretty rare which a Zerg does a 2-base play after they've already been blocked from taking their natural, because you don't want to just have this base and this base. You want to have the natural base, which connects you, and that is what DongRaeGu's doing. He's got a queen at his third, got a couple lings out, so this Adept that's moving out for Trap, oh, interestingly enough, actually gonna just be staying at home, which I think is quite cute from Trap, just saying, alright, if you're trying to sneak a few lings out on the map, I want to be able to shut that down, maybe, because Trap's going for something a little bit sneaky. So far it's a Twilight Council, but no research coming out of it yet. I get the feeling that this could be Charge Lottie, as... yeah, Trap isn't going full tilt on the gas. He's getting out a Robo. I get the feeling that this is going to be like a big Charge Lot attack. No, it's actually going to be Adepts. Okay. So, my guess was wrong. But, pretty close. Adepts and Charge Lots, similar all-ins. And we'll see what Trap's gonna make happen with this. DongRaeGu has snuck an Overlord in, but all it really did was see the Gas Geyser. Whereas this other Overlord at the natural, it hasn't seen too much either. So DRG, interestingly enough, pulls the Overlord out, doesn't commit it in. I guess he didn't want to take that risk. And then he's just going to be macroing up off of his 2 bases. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before this attack from Trap is going to hit DongRaeGu, 4-gate Resonating Glaive Adept timing attack, make sure to slap that like button if you're happy to see such an old legend player like DongRaeGu on the channel, or if you're simply just a Protoss or Trap fan, slap that like button too. Let's try and hit 100 likes on this video. You guys have been blowing it away. It's incredible that we constantly hit 100 likes on the channel each video, which is, it's amazing. I didn't think we'd get there with a regular StarCraft 2 Procast, but it's such a good feeling. And anyway, now we see Trappy starting to warp in more of these Adepts, going to be looking to deal some hurt to DongRaeGu. DRG is producing lings, he's got queens, but will he be able to shut down these Adepts? It's 8 Adepts at the minute. With the queen support, I think he could take a fight, so DongRaeGu is going to pounce right on top of these Adepts. He's killed off 4 of them already, but some have shaded. Where did those adepts shade? Looks like they actually just got lifted into the prism. Pardon me, but so far that is a very good hold for DongRaeGu. He's even building a spine crawler at his third base just to make sure he has that presence which can tie up the adepts. Trap, interestingly enough, is following this up with a Dark Shrine, just hiding that in the corner here, not taking a third base, so this should be a little bit suspicious for DongRaeGu, who has sent in an Overlord, maybe wondering what the follow-up is going to be. DongRaeGu, though, does have a lair on the way. He's already got 1 Spore Crawler at its natural, which is a big part to defending versus DTs. And oh, the Prism of Trap, even taking a few shots from those queens. The queen's just putting as much hurt on that prism as possible. Trap has unloaded a couple of adepts, though is going to shade them towards the third base. Probably wants to cancel that shade, and yes, he does. Trap not one to throw away units needlessly. DongRaeGu, however, is going for a bit of a counterattack, testing Trap, hitting that third base, even brought a couple of drones by accident, as DongRaeGu did make a lot of lings to hold off this pressure. And now we see the DTs are going to be moving in for Trap. A couple of Adepts going to try and pull the attention from DongRaeGu at the natural base. Those Adepts will be shut down. The question is, will these DTs be shut down? There's a Spore Crawler at the natural. There isn't one in the main base, however, so there is definitely going to be some drone death going on. These queens, they see that DT running by. DongRaeGu not going to be able to kill that DT before it gets out of the Spore Crawler range, so drones are going to have to run to the safety of that Spore Crawler at the natural, and Overseers have to be made. So Trap really delaying the economy of DongRaeGu at the minute. DRG, he does have a lair, so he's able to get these DTs thanks to the Overseer. This, however, has really put a hurt on DongRaeGu's economy. If we take a look, a big surge in the red for Trap, basically meaning he's mining a lot more resources while all those drones were bouncing around. And DongRaeGu, this game already, he has been taking damage just by the amount of lings he had to make, the amount of roaches he had to make to be sure to defend Trap's attack. So yes, DongRaeGu held Trap's attack, but he's still behind on workers. And that's quite concerning, as usually if a Zerg holds an attack as easily as DongRaeGu did, you have quite a worker lead. We're going to be seeing DongRaeGu want to put the pressure onto his opponent, running in with a ton of lings, roaches, ravagers coming in to add some muscle to the push. The lings are buffering, and they're actually fighting a little bit before the roaches get in, so some of those units going to die, but man, this is still a lot of lings, roaches, and ravagers for DongRaeGu, who's now going to bounce towards the natural base, going to try and catch Trap out, as he did poke out with his Immortals. However, it does seem that Trap is going to be holding this attack off with shield batteries at his natural and third, with Immortals tucked into the natural. Quite a good hold for DongRaeGu, or for Trap, pardon me. DongRaeGu's attack wasn't, I'd say, as well put together as it should have been. Those lings should have gone in at the exact second the roaches and ravagers were ready to enter the fray. So DongRaeGu lost some of those before the buffer. He didn't fully commit, and then just ended up having to retreat. So now he's in quite an odd spot. He's behind on workers to the Protoss. I must say, I like that there's going to be a fourth base getting up for DongRaeGu. This is still quite an uncomfortable spot for the Zerg player. There's no +1 Carapace for DongRaeGu. There's no missile attacks. There's no roach speed, even. So his units really are lackluster compared to the army that Trap is going to be hitting with its Archons, Immortals, and tons of charge lots. This is going to be a tough hold for DongRaeGu. He was trying to get to Banelings to give him something with a bit of bite, but there's no chance he'll be able to hold his third base due to Trap's spellcasters, due to the sentries. The Archons will just slaughter the Lings, and the Immortals will slaughter the roaches. So DongRaeGu really needs something. We see he is making Banelings, which I really do like the addition of, if they can get connections on top of the Zealots. But this is still going to be a really, really tough hold for DongRaeGu. Right now, the Immortals and Archons of Trap stepping onto creep. There is a lot of Zealots to buffer for this, but Trap is still happy, even if he just pulls back. As we see, the fourth base of DongRaeGu was killed off. I had complimented him on having that fourth base just a second ago, and then it just died, so I kind of jinxed him there. Trap, as this game is going on, is going to be taking a fourth base. He's getting up static defense at his bases, knowing that he needs to be able to defend versus, say, Baneling counterattacks. Then getting up the fourth Nexus really shows how he's comfortable macroing up. But oh, he even cancels that as he spots the attack from DongRaeGu that's going to be coming on in. Trap, though, not just gonna be defending this attack. He's going for counter damage. Lings for DongRaeGu trying to catch a few Zealots. This is going to be a tough attack for DRG to make work due to the Archon presence. The Banelings are good, but the Archons are also really darn good. Looks like a couple of the Archons do absorb a lot of the Baneling shots there. This is not going to stop DongRaeGu. He's going for a big attack towards the natural. Crozabal gets tossed down. The Immortal there dodges it. Most of the Banelings have now been used. They're going to roll forward. They don't want to hit the Immortals. They don't want to hit the Archons. Fortunately, most of the Zealots are gone that Trap had, but still, DongRaeGu's army has really just worn thin. He doesn't have any Lings to really buffer at the minute. The Roaches, without speed, are actually much worse units than Roaches with speed. And now DRG has to react to this counterattack. So, I mean, he's not dead, but he's not in a great spot because Trap, he's now going to counterattack. He says, all right, you burned most of your Banelings, most of your Lings. This could allow me to push in. And push in. We are going to see Trap go. He's got a ton of DTs actually just moving in. There's no Overseer in position. There's the Overseer coming in. Trap going for a bit of a cutesy play there. And now is still just sitting on the outskirts of DongRaeGu's base. Trap is securing up that 4th base location, so he's going to be on par with the Zerg as far as bases go. And as a matter of fact, he may just try and kill his opponent now. Supply is neck and neck, 154 to 154. Army supply is pretty close, but the army of Trap is vastly superior to what DongRaeGu has. DongRaeGu is going to need some great Crozabals, some great Baneling connections, and I just don't know if he's got the tools he needs to make this hold happen. Banelings are rolling forward, but no great hits. The army of Trap is mainly Immortal Archon, and that is tough to take on with just Roach Raptor. Crozabals are getting tossed down, hoping to pick off some of these high-ticket items. But DongRaeGu just isn't able to make the fight happen, it would seem, and he has to tap out despite his best efforts. Trap is going to take the 1-0 lead in this series. All right, here we are into game number 2 of this best of 3. DongRaeGu didn't just fold under the weight of Trap, but Trap did seem to play the PvZ that he wanted to. It was a very solid match from the Protoss player. I appreciate the effort from DongRaeGu to go for things like all those, say, like all those Archons or for DongRaeGu to go for all those Lings to play that composition, but without the Roach speed, the Zerg army really can be quite lackluster. And I think the main part of that game did come down to the fact that while DongRaeGu held the pressure from Trap with the Adepts, that he had made so many Lings that didn't do too much. If he had made, say, 2/3 of the amount of Lings and made the rest drones, then he would have been in a much better economic position to play the game out. And yeah, I think that probably is the main place where it went wrong for DongRaeGu. As a Zerg, it is that fine balancing act to defending against the pressure versus making sure that your economy doesn't suffer enough while doing so. And Zerg players will absolutely know that that is a hard balancing act to make happen. And the non-Zerg players who are watching will know that it's all about trying to exploit Zerg and to make them overreact to things, and then just to try and pull one over on them. So we see that is a crucial part of the matchup. DongRaeGu, I mean, as I said, I did like how solid he seemed to be, but he will need to make something happen if he's going to be able to bring down a Protoss like Trap. Maybe he needs to bring out like a Nidus, something cheeky like that. Swarm Host. I know Nidus Swarm Host is a composition that Trap has struggled against in the past. A lot of great Zergs have taken down Trap consistently with it in some of the matches that I've seen. And taking down Trap is not an easy feat, so we'll see if DongRaeGu is able to bring something out that can do that. I did like the effort in the last match with the attacks that DongRaeGu was planning. Maybe if he had taken the fights a little bit better, he could have won it. But in the end, yeah, just very solid play from Trap. Losing a game to Trap is not something you can feel bad about. Okay, now we see Overlord's going to be moving on in for DongRaeGu. Just scouting out what Trap's going for. Sees the Twilight Council. Trap skipped going for a Stalker, so this is going to leave him a little bit exposed to this free scout of the Zerg. As a Zerg, if you can get a free scout off with an Overlord and keep the Overlord alive, you are feeling pretty good. And yeah, cat's out of the bag on this one. DongRaeGu knows that he can probably delay his spores a little bit due to the fact that he's seen the Twilight Council. He's going to have to be wary of DTs, of, say, Adepts once more, maybe Charge Lots, something like that. The fact, though, that DongRaeGu scouted this out is quite a nice lead for the Zerg in the early game. It can be hard for Protoss to shut down that scout. I guess it all depends what unit you go for early on. Whether you do go for a quick stalker to try and deny the Overlord. 2 Adepts for Trap are out on the map, going to be going for the scouting. This is classic Protoss timing, trying to deny the creep tumors, trying to get any drones or whatever that they can. Trap, though, going to be a very happy boy getting that creep tumor. Interestingly enough, I saw that there's a StarCraft 2 balance patch coming up. I believe creep tumors were getting changed to have a light attribute as opposed to armored to try and benefit Protoss when it comes to picking off tumors. This is going to make it very tough because now Adepts will deal so much more damage, if I'm not mistaken, to a creep tumor. It's going to make it so that Hellions will kill creep tumors easier. It's going to have quite an impact on Zerg spreading creep when there's already been a creep nerf that hit Zerg. So that's something that you guys are going to want to keep an eye out. Queens are also going to be getting an attack range nerf. Then there is Banelings are getting a armor nerf. The Baneling speed will be cheaper though, which I think is probably a good trade. Won't really affect players at my level. You're not sniping all the Banelings when you're in Master League like me. But yeah, it is a notable change, things like that. Lings are going to try and get on top of these Adepts before they warp in. Trap hasn't actually gone for any Twilight tech. He's actually just gone for the DTs. So DongRaeGu doesn't actually have... Or there we go, there's the Spore. I didn't see it at the back. Yes, he does have protection for it, as he did scout out the Twilight. So not getting Spores in time for DTs would be a bit foolish. I was kind of on a tangent there about the upcoming balance patch. However, DongRaeGu, not asleep at the wheel, is defending while I ramble. So, now we see DTs coming in. They do snipe off one of the queens. That is a nice hit job by Trap. Gets the queen. However, he's not going to be getting anything else. It would seem like the Prism taking quite a bit of damage. Oh, these queens are actually getting massacred by the DTs. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. DongRaeGu not having enough to defend against these Templar. Has to micro the queens back to safety. DongRaeGu is focused on trying to get the Warp Prism, but DTs can actually kill queens quite easily if they have no buffer. So a bit of an overstep by DongRaeGu. However, he's still going to be feeling fine, losing only 2 queens to a DT rush. There's also a counterattack moving in for DongRaeGu now. Going to be trying to hit the 3rd base of the Protoss player. DongRaeGu has brought an Overseer though, so the DTs won't be a solid defense against this. The Lings are actually going to head towards the natural kill off probes. The DTs got baited out a little bit, and that Overseer could allow for them just to be surrounded and killed. I love the fact that DongRaeGu has brought an Overseer with this. He's even baiting Trap into warping in more sentries, really keeping the pressure on the Protoss with these Lings that he made. Grabs another probe. He might even bait out a force field. He's hoping it would seem to bait out the DTs, or the DTs are gone. But oh, the Lings are actually going to get in. Trap not paying attention. He was busy microing these Archons in the main base of DongRaeGu. While he's getting damage done, there are Lings in his natural, and he's going to be losing a large amount of probes. 15 probes going down. Trap not multitasking up to par there, as letting Lings in your base is not worth the damage he got done on DongRaeGu's side of the map. So a great capitalization there by DongRaeGu, just testing the Protoss player. And then he found an opening. That is exactly why you want to do moves like that, even if you're like, oh, the Protoss could just use a force field. Well, Trap wasn't paying attention and he didn't, and it has paid dividends for the Zerg. DongRaeGu knocks Trap down to 45 workers, and there simply isn't that much tech for the Protoss either. So we may just see Trap go all in from this point. He's going to have Charge finishing up. He's going to have a good number of Archons, but his economy to back this up is not that great. DongRaeGu has a 4th base on the way already, and now he is just making units to hold this off. He's even investing in a Spine Crawler at his 3rd base. DongRaeGu knows that if he holds this attack, he will be in a very good spot. And we see Trap is just charging in, no hesitation, because he knows how he needs to basically just kill the Zerg. And I don't think it's going to happen this match. The Zealots are going to get pushed back. These Roaches have speed, unlike the last game. And Trap is going to get sent packing. He's rebuilding his probe count. But against a Zerg who's on 66 drones, who's already got a 4th base up and just kept it alive, this is not a good spot for the Protoss at all. Okay, 11 drones have actually just gone down. That is partially, in fact, due to this DT. How many kills did that DT get? Well, it was quite a few while Trap was there. Oh, Prism taking some shots from some queens that were a little bit far out on the map for DongRaeGu. DongRaeGu, will he be in position to save those queens? Yes, he has units that can come in. The Prism also taking quite a few shots, losing some more HP. I must say, though, for Trap, getting those drone kills was nice. With that DT getting 11 kills, but DongRaeGu has just replaced those drones. Since he is a 4-base Zerg, he can do that quite reasonably. We're even seeing more spines and spores go up for DongRaeGu. I love this choice. Just one spine and one spore helps defend against Protoss harassment so well for the Zerg. So I do really enjoy the fact that DongRaeGu is going for that. The more passive defense. Trap, while this is going on, also realizes he's obviously behind, playing against a large amount of Roach Ravager, so he's going to be going for the comeback unit, the Disruptor, but he might not even have time to get out 1 or 2 Disruptors. He's going to get 1 out, it would seem, as this Disruptor does finish up, but you really need a few to get big game-changing connections. So far, it does seem that Trap just took a very good fight as DongRaeGu tried to push his way up that ramp. So I will give that to him. I was focused on the Disruptors, but Trap was just being a boss with his sentries, tossing down force fields, walking that Zerg army. You got to be careful if you're a Zerg trying to push up a ramp like this against all these sentries. Now we are going to see Trap move out on the map, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. His army took a very good fight on the top of that ramp, but I don't know about going out into the open against a Zerg army that's now got Banelings, that's got Roaches and Ravagers. This could be a little bit suicidal from Trap. He's going to cancel the 5th base of DongRaeGu, which is quite nice, but I do think Trap needs to return. Disruptor going to get a connection off on those Banelings, gets a good shot, but oh, the Zerg army is pushing forward. The sentries are going to start eating Banelings, not able to toss down force fields to cover his retreat, and the Banelings connect with most of the Zealots that Trap had, and GG gets called as DongRaeGu ties the series up. Okay, the series is tied 1-1. What a last match. I'm really enjoying the match that both these players are putting out. In the end, though, Trap making that fatal mistake did just cost him the game. For all we know, he could have just won if he hadn't let those lings into his natural. And so I am a fan of the fact that Trap was able to, or that DongRaeGu was able to capitalize on that. I wouldn't say you can count on getting moves like that against Trap, though, so DRG will have to cook something up different if he is going to win this series. Drone is moving out for DongRaeGu. Probe's moving in for Trap. DRG will start that hatchery before the probe can block it. Trap was trying to be a pain by sending out that very early probe, but he won't get the block. Probe, though, will still harass DongRaeGu a little bit, being a pain. Right-clicking on those minerals to mess up the pathing of the drones can be quite effective at costing the Zerg some minerals, making them just micro extra hard on their drones. You think, all right, maybe if you're so busy microing your drones, maybe you'll accidentally delay some production, but even by half a second. Things like that matter at the pro level. I'd also like to point out, I love how both these players are using classic skins. This is the Brood War drone. This is the Brood War probe that Trap has. So that's just a plus. Bonus points, in my opinion. Trap, currently just on the 1 gas, getting up his natural, getting up his cyber core. There's that extra gas. Saving up a chrono for when that adept will be able to be chrono boosted out. Interesting to note things like that. DongRaeGu has already taken a 3rd base, going to be taking the more forward 3rd base, but it's less strewn out, so it's much less vulnerable to, like, say, warpins or harassment. However, your 3rd base is a little bit closer to your opponent when it comes to defending a big attack, so it's kind of a double-edged sword as far as which base Zerg takes, but usually it is this location that we see Zergs expanding to. Trap, now using that Chrono Boost note probes, Chrono Boost note his Adept. Gonna have that Adept out, so she'll be able to scout out his opponent, and oh, here we go. We now see Trap going for a Stargate. already. In the previous 2 matches, we saw Trap go right for a Cyber, or for a Twilight Council, pardon me. Stargate, though, is a staple of the PvZ matchup, so no surprise to see Trap go for that. Purity and Industry has a lot of dead space. I'm still not 100% sure whether all of these inhibitor zones in open airspace add up to a good thing for for Stargate, or a bad thing. Trap did choose to go for a Stargate on this map, as opposed to the previous ones, though. So maybe it is still a good map for Stargate, despite the inhibitor zones. Stalker on the way for Trap, probably just to deny Overlord Scouts, then an Oracle as well. Adept is being a pain, trying to get whatever she can. Meanwhile, there's an Adept in the main base, so Trap harassing his opponent with both these Adepts. Looks like one of them will get out, kills off a few Lings. DongRaeGu had to trade a few Lings just to keep those Adepts from getting any damage done, but then we see an Overlord snuck its way in for DongRaeGu, scouted out the Stargate, so Spore Crawler already starting at the 3rd. There's 1 done in the main, and there's 2 Queens at the natural, so DRG covering his bases quite well. Should be more than fine to deal with this Stargate play, and the game will just continue on, a very normal PvZ macro game. How many kills can this Oracle get? That is the question. I feel like we don't nearly talk about the damage that Oracles get done in a PvZ. Oh, good micro from DongRaeGu, by the way, saving that drone. Would have been 2 kills instead of just 1. And the fact that the kill numbers are so low from Oracles in PvZ these days, that is a reason why we don't necessarily highlight how much damage an Oracle would get done. In older StarCraft 2 matches, an Oracle would get like between 0 and 20 kills. And so you'd always be talking about how much damage the Oracle got done. Whereas now, that's not so much the case. And so Oracles fall on the back burner a little bit as far as hype, I guess. I don't know. This Oracle at 1 kill, the other Oracle out on the map. We'll see if they can get some good damage done for Trap, as he's obviously going to be looking for it. He's a world-class Protoss player. He will use these units as effectively as possible. Cute move there, pulls back the injured Oracle, reduces the chance of it being picked off. 3 Queens are at the natural, though, for DongRaeGu to repel these. The Oracles come in, but then they quickly nope out. Looks like Lings spot out the 3rd base of Trap. All the while DongRaeGu has had an Overlord still just chilling here, scouting out. Trap once again goes for a Dark Shrine. So he seems to really like the Archons off the DTs. Looks like these Lings will catch these Adepts that Trap sent out on the map. This is generally why you don't actually just move out with your Adepts past the Ling speed mark, as they'll usually just get picked off. DongRaeGu this match is going to be going for a Spire. I like it. If I'm going to see a Zerg player who's going to build a Spire, I want it to be an older Zerg player. Spire hasn't been seen by Trap as well, which is quite notable. If it was, he'd probably be building Phoenix. Instead, he's just focusing on getting up charge lots, a lot of gateways, and a Dark Shrine. So we could be seeing one of those scenarios, which is Archons and charge lots in a base trade against a Zerg who's making mutas. The fact, though, that there's all this dead space and that the mutas kind of can just fly straight towards the Protoss' main base will pose a threat for Trap. Can Trap, say, maybe get some damage done, though, with Archons or DTs before this happens? But he still hasn't scouted the Spire, which is quite a concern for the Protoss player. The Prism's on the way, so the attack is about to start heating up for Trap, but he doesn't have really any Archons made yet. There we go, he's starting to build his first few Archons. He's focused on defending his 3rd base from Lings, but DongRaeGu is about to be able to fire up like 11 or 12 Mutalisks. There we go, 11 mutas on the way. Trap has got the Oracles moving out on the map, but unless he sniffs this attack is coming out soon, it will be very tough for him to hold on against these mutas without taking any damage. And oh, the Lings of DongRaeGu are pulling back the Oracles, which might have raised the alarm sooner. Trap is going to be going for this attack now. He's got the couple of Archons. The Archons alone should prevent the mutas from shutting down this attack at the 3rd base. So we are seeing DongRaeGu. He's going to pull his mutas back while building Spine Crawlers and Lings. He figures that he can maybe just defend versus this army with the mutas and Lings. There's only a few Archons for Trap. Trap has to load him up into the Prism, and Archons are good against mutas, but unless there's something else to support him, DongRaeGu can take this fight, and he is taking this fight. The Archons are going to fall, the mutas taking minimal losses, and Trap is sent home. Trap is all of a sudden building a Phoenix. He's started up Blink. He's warping in Stalkers. That is the Protoss panic when there's mutas out on the map. But this is still looking like quite a threat to the Protoss player. As Blink isn't done, there's definitely going to be probes dying. Trap may just need to recall some units towards his third base, get these Stalkers there quickly as the mutas are bouncing towards that third base. Now probes have to run. The Phoenix that was produced is going to try and kite these mutas, but to no success. And DongRaeGu is just starting to massacre Trap's probes, getting 10 probes with these mutas. Huge amounts of damage, and that number is just going to go up and up from here. Trap has held on. He didn't just die to the mutas, but his attack was shut down. The mutas have got 15 probes, and DongRaeGu has complete control over this game as the Protoss is chrono boosting out one Phoenix at a time. It is not a good feeling since the Zerg can just make a huge chunk of mutas. Looks like a cannon is about to finish up in the main base for Trap to help defend against these mutas. The Stalkers as well, providing an anchor point for the Phoenix to fall back to. In theory, when Trap can, say, get up to like 4 or 5 Phoenix, then he'll really be able to start dealing damage to the mutas. But, oh, a miss micro from Trap against the mutas, lowering that count. And, oh, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, my mouse having a hard time there. We even see, though, DongRaeGu pushing towards the third base of the Protoss, forcing a Zealot warp in, and the mutas were coming in next. Look at that, just DRG forcing a Zealot warp in. And then just flying the mutas over. It's like, oh, you warped in some Zealots. Cool, I'm sure they'll do great against the mutas. But no, Trap kind of just getting a build order loss in that match. Really well done by DongRaeGu, not letting the Spire get scouted, whereas Trap really needed to scout that Spire. And yeah, well done by DRG, taking down a world-class Protoss player. Makes me excited to have him in our upcoming Africa World StarCraft 2 tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, slap that like button for DRG winning. Let's try and break 100 likes on this video. And of course, if you're new to the channel, press that subscribe button. We are getting close to the 8,000 subscriber mark. And then join the Discord if you want to have a conversation. I know we were talking about balance and the importance of macro versus micro a little bit the other day. Not actual balance, really, just macro and micro, which I think is an interesting topic. As we have seen from a lot of the Alpha Star videos that I've done lately, it's just macro that carries that AI. And then, of course, follow me on Twitter if you want to get announcements and things, see my random tweets. I'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. This has been LaughNgamez.